Well, good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well today. So, there is a great big thing that I want to talk to you guys about today. So, at first, I'm going to tell you a little bit, and then I'm going to read some things for you to explain why I'm saying what I'm saying. So, okay. Oh, and by the way, let's just get this out there and out of the way. I'm not setting dates. I don't set dates, but I just want to put this out there to show you guys and to explain to you guys what's going on and, let you know what an exciting time that we live in. And so you can kind of look all this stuff up on your own too and see just how close we are to Jesus returning. So we know on September 17th this month that the Israeli elections are going to take place, and whatever happens at that. But President Trump was saying that he is going to release the peace plan immediately after that was after the elections. Well, on the 23rd, the Sanhedrin are going to be having a 70-nation conference, and also on the 27th, they are having the sacrifice of the lamb on that day. Well, on the 23rd, the conference starts, and during this conference, the Sanhedrin are going to be training and talking with the 70 nations about the Noahide Law, and they are going to be trying to enforce the Noahide Law to these 70 nations, and they are also wanting to implement the Noah covenant again with the nations. So, how often are 70 nations going to be all together in one place at one time? And President Trump's peace plan is being released about a week and a half before this happens. So the Sanhedrin are wanting to sign a covenant with the 70 nations. So what covenant? They need to have something to sign, right? So what are they going to sign? Could it be the Trump peace plan, right? And if you read in Daniel 9:27, which we are in September, the 9th month, and they're going to do this agreement on 9:27. If you read in Daniel 9:27, it explicitly tells you that the signing of a covenant will be done on, during that time. So it all kind of goes together. Now, I want to read to you some things that I found about the Noahide covenant. And apparently it was enacted here in the United States by President Bush Sr. And I want to read to you on page 1192 of the Encyclopedia of Judaica. Violation of any one of the 7 laws of the Noahide Law is subject to capital punishment by decapitation. So in other words, if a person steps forward to accuse a Gentile of violating any one of these 7 laws, that testimony alone would be enough to decapitate the accused. A person could be put to death for the flimsy accusation of being cruel to animals even, and based on a lying testimony of a person. So there is no assumption of innocence until proven guilty, or the prosecution of having to prove your case. The accusation of one person, the accused, will be legally decapitated. This is in public law. that President Bush Sr. signed into law. And President Trump, when he was elected, the Jews came to him and wanted him to follow through with the Noahide Law as well. The Noahide Law is for Gentiles. It's for non-Jews. It's for those that do not follow or are not Jewish to follow. And if you don't follow, or if you break any of these Noahide laws, you are then sentenced to death by decapitation. So this, to me, sounds like something that's going to be happening during the tribulation, right? We know exactly, during the tribulation that this is what's going to happen. There's going to be decapitations and stuff for not following the Antichrist. So there's another one too, if you give me just a second. Okay, so there's here's another one. It kind of explains it even more. The Noahide Law demands that Gentiles, Christians, because we are considered Gentiles if we don't have the Jewish bloodline, we must conform to their 7 Noahide laws, supposedly given by God to Noah for Gentiles after the flood, which it's false. It's nowhere stated in the Bible. The penalty for breaking 3 of these Noahide laws is capital punishment by beheading. 2 of these Jewish laws attack fundamental Christian beliefs directly: prohibition against blasphemy against God and idolatry. Traditional Judaism teaches that Christian faith in Jesus Christ violates both. Jesus Christ was executed by the Jewish Pharisees for declaring that he was the Son of God. They called his admission blasphemy. And now the Jews in America seek to use their Noahide law to discriminate against and finally execute Christians for their alleged blasphemy for calling Jesus the Son of God. Let's see here. So because of our Constitution here in the United States and our amendments, this law cannot be established just yet. But when martial law is declared and the Constitution is abolished, then the people that are left behind, because the tribulation is going to happen first, the people will see and witness with their own eyes the unveiling of the public display that was signed into law by President Bush. So on September 25th, the 5700th anniversary of the day on which Jewish tradition holds the world was created, the Sanhedrin is holding a conference for the emerging of organization of 70 nations. The conference will culminate in an animal sacrifice made by representatives of the nation on the Mount of Olives. This is where Jesus is going to plant his feet, okay? The Mount of Olives. So they're desecrating it. I mean, it's so bizarre. In which they will renew the covenant made by Noah upon leaving the ark. The conference will begin on Wednesday evening, September 25th, the 25th day of the Hebrew month of Elul, at the Jerusalem Gate Hotel, and continue until Friday, September 27th, 9/27. Lectures and discussions will focus on the Noahide obligations incumbent upon all mankind. Hang on to that word, all mankind. Also discussed will be the universal economic, cultural, educational that should be focused of such an organization. The major focus will also be the establishment of the international court based on Bible principles. God established the borders of the world based on the 70 children of Israel who went down to Egypt and the 70 nations that came out from Noah. The concept of the 70 nations also appears in reference to the 70 oxen offered at the temple throughout Sukkot, which is which the Talmud teaches are for the merit of the 70 nations. The organization emphasizes that every nation will keep its unique and distinct national identity, cultural heritage, language, and recognized borders. In attendance will be the official representatives of several nations, and it lists all the 70 nations. Let's see here. Noahide principles incumbent on all mankind. Much of the conference will be dedicated to the 7 principles incumbent upon all mankind given to Noah after the biblical flood. A lecture on the subject will be given by Chairman Britt Ullman, Noahide World Center Rabbi, whatever his name is, Rabbi Holder, who also sits on the board of the Britt Ullman organization, is convinced that universal adherence to the Noahide Law is necessary for the existence of civilization. If you read history, you will see that the herbicides of the 17th century believed in a minimum basis which society needs in order to exist. This is clearly true in the Noahide Law to establish courts of law. All of the laws are required by a nation and not by an individual. An international or multinational organization needs to establish the basic required for survival of civilization. As part of the conference, the representatives will visit the Temple Mount and pay an official visit on the Knesset with the Sanhedrin. On Friday, the conference will culminate in a trip to the Mount of Olives, where the nations will be invited to reenact the ceremony first performed by Noah upon exiting the ark. Noah built the ark in Genesis 8:20. The ceremony will renew the covenant made between mankind and God at that time. Okay, how are they going to renew the covenant if they don't have a covenant to sign, right? All these nations that are coming together, they're going to have something to prove that there's this covenant. So there has to be a covenant in place for them to sign in order to bring about this peace and this covenant of Noah. So, let's see. The 70 Nations initiative began last year at the World Creation Concert when high-ranking delegations from Honduras, Guatemala, and Mexico signed a declaration saying, "We as representatives of our nation declare that according to the laws of the Torah that God to Moses at Mount of Sinai, and according to the prophets of Israel and all the books of the Bible, we wish to accompany the people of God, the people of Israel, to place chosen by God the temple on Mount Moriah, the place of binding of Isaac. All this in order to serve only the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. As it is written, that my house will be called a house of prayer to all peoples. We are all gathered together in the name of peace and love with the people of Israel in the courtyards of the house of God. God blessed Abraham by saying," and then it goes on. The 70 Nation organizations is directed at all mankind who accept God as creator of the world and who recognizes his leadership, and he appears in the annals of the world and the universe. All humanity, all people, both individually and multifaceted groups, are descendants of Adam and Eve. All were created in the image of God and called man. All humanity survived the flood and committed themselves to follow, hang on. I can't find the rest. Anyways, so basically I wanted to bring this to you guys that this is like major. I believe, and many others believe, that rapture happens before the tribulation starts. And we are like on the cusp of this happening. And with everything that's going on over in the Middle East, all the elections and the wars that are about to break out and everything that's about to happen, and now to see that the Sanhedrins want to bring about the Noahide Law for the Gentiles, and they want to allow the Gentiles, they have to follow the Noahide laws in order to sacrifice the animals. So in order to do that, they have to follow this Noahide law. And in order for the Sanhedrin to bring peace, they have to sign this covenant, the Noah covenant, where they think there has to be a covenant in place. Okay, so could it be Trump's plan that they're going to be signing that, because it's not like it's a surprise to them. They know what is in that plan. They know what is going on. It just hasn't been released to the world. So my advice to you, if you do not know the Lord Jesus Christ, I'm telling you, time is short, and we are out of here so soon. Whether it be this month, next year, whatever, time is short, and we can see prophecy being fulfilled now, and we can see the beginning of the tribulation at hand. We can see it getting ready to start, and if the tribulation is getting ready to start, that means that we're out of here before that happens. And I just urge you, if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, to come to him today. I just read you a little bit of the consequence of this Noahide law that they're going to implement after we are gone. The entire world, the United States has this law in place right now, and it says in that law, I didn't read part of it because I couldn't find it at the moment. I have so many different I have iPads and computers. I have it somewhere, but there's guillotines here in the United States that President Bush enacted, and he allowed as capital punishment for not abiding by the Noahide law. And unfortunately, there's going to be many people that don't believe what I'm saying and will find themselves there. And after the rapture happens, if you do not take that mark that the Antichrist is going to enforce, and we can already see that happening. Also, hey, they're making it look so wonderful. Hey, you can pay with your hand. You don't have to worry about your wallet. What if you forget your wallet? Whatever. You're not going to be able to buy or sell anything. You're not going to be able to have food. And, if you don't abide by that, you're going to be arrested, and that's it. And it's a sad thing to think about. But, so anyways, just kind of pray about it, see what's going on. Watch Israel. I always tell everybody, watch Israel, watch what's going on. And it seems like some stuff is coming out every day about the Sanhedrin and the Jews and all of that. And, we know that they're waiting for their Messiah. And who's to say that their, not ours, but their Messiah, which is going to be the Antichrist, doesn't show up on this day, the day that they, start sacrificing animals and making a covenant with many, which is what they're doing. They're making a covenant with many. Who's to say that their Messiah doesn't show up on that day? I mean, we're in exciting times, and, for the believers, just keep going, keep looking up, because your redemption draws nigh.